Yo, welcome to the Choppin It Up podcast featuring your boy Jordan.
What up? It's your boy Eric.
And we're back at it with another album review, bro. What are we going to be reviewing today, homie?
Today, we're going to be reviewing an album that you were really kind of hyped about a little bit.
I was. Yes.
I'm okay, so we're reviewing an album by an artist that I'm not very, very familiar with in a lot of their work, but
yeah.
We're reviewing Logic.
Yes, Logic, Confessions of a Dangerous Mind.
Yes.
And let's jump into it. I have a lot of things to say about it, Eric. I know you don't really know much about him.
I don't know like a lot of his like older stuff just because I was never that huge of a Logic fan.
For sure.
Doesn't mean that he doesn't have some good music, good tracks that I'm familiar with, but I just never followed his career.
Logic has been one of my favorite artists since high school. He really, I discovered him by a friend of mine that was playing some of his mixtapes that he released. And I was like, yo, this dude is super talented, can rap fast. And it's just his lyrics were just very just different. And he really helped me out through a lot in high school. I think for me, as in high school, you're going through a lot of things. You're dealing with drugs, you're dealing with women, you're dealing with just people overall and bullying and everything. And at the same time, Logic spoke about a lot of issues that honestly, and it's crazy, at the time in high school was very relevant. And so for me, every time he released a mixtape, every time he released an album, I was like, yo, I'm ready. And at this time in high school, he wasn't signed yet. He was still trying to break through. He was still trying to make it. And you can tell, man, he was just on a road to where he's like, you know what, this dude is gonna get signed. He's gonna be super talented when he gets signed. And I've been to a few of his concerts, and I realized like, yo, Logic is something really special, bro.
Yeah. And he's currently signed to Def Jam, correct?
Def Jam. Yeah. That's
okay,
correct.
just making sure.
Yeah, he's currently signed to Def Jam. But I think, and we're gonna dive into the album. But with Logic, I've always just been kind of like cautious of him because I know that he deals with anxiety, the mental health that is definitely at a major high at the moment in our generation. And he's always spoke about just his issues with those situations and drugs and him being raised, and he's from Maryland, and his mom was white and his dad is black, and like, if you look at Logic now, you're like, yo, Logic doesn't look black, like he doesn't look mixed, and he is mixed, and it's crazy, and people don't believe it, but there's actual proof. His dad has talked, and he's had his mom and dad, and it's crazy is that his mom is actually racist.
Yeah,
but
so he grew up pretty like torn.
Yeah,
because he was living in a place where, and I've seen some interviews where he talks about kind of the way he grew up because his mom was racist. And,
it's weird. His mom,
but
racist.
His dad's black, and like it's just that seems so difficult.
At that moment, there you can kind of tell there's already friction going on with the family, and you can kind of tell by his music that he was going through a lot. And for me, I love music that tells a story. That's why I love Kendrick so much, J. Cole. And Logic kind of was similar to that because he would tell a story about just what he was going through at a young age, and him living in people's houses so that he can continue to make music. Him not really getting a job because he was just so focused on his music that he's like, look, I can get a job whenever I want to, but I really think I have potential. But people still kicking him out. And finally he went to one of his really close friend's house and got a chance to stay in the basement and told himself, I have a year to really just get this popping and really and really just have my breakthrough. And he did. And I, like I said, I've seen Logic twice at his concerts. Dude is an amazing performer. He always just promotes, positivity, just people having fun. Cause there'll be people trying to get in fights at the concert, and he will stop the music and be like, "Yo, like why are y'all acting like this?"
Yeah.
Logic cares about others.
Yeah.
But I think he cares too much, and that's kind of when this album for me is the reason why I worry about Logic so much, because he's getting too worried about what people are saying about him. And that's easier said than done. We all have people that judge us and say things that we don't like.
And we don't really have that scale of, you know, eyes on us and kind of being under the microscope that way of like, you know, we might have like a couple people here and there that don't like us, that, you know, are haters, but you know, he has haters everywhere.
And that's normal for any artist.
You know, it's not saying that he doesn't have a huge fan base, because he does. He has a very, very committed and faithful fan base that have been, you know, pushing him along throughout his career.
Right.
But, you know, that doesn't mean that it doesn't come with haters and people that are going to be negative and about your career and everything. And it was very apparent that it has gotten to him very heavily in this album. And
absolutely.
And I think that's why this album, to me, suffered so much.
Yeah, and I was super excited for this album. But at the same time, I realized, okay, Logic, why are you releasing so much music? It's been 4 albums in 2 years that he's released, bro.
Yeah, it's insane. That's a lot of that's a lot, and they're like not like EPs or like 4 or 5 songs. They're like full length, like
full length albums,
13, 14 albums. Songs on each album, and it's insane to be putting out that much music so quickly. And not only that, he put out a book.
Yeah, book. Super
like, it is just, to me, I feel like he is kind of running on fumes, and you know, he might just be kind of having a lot of people say yes around him.
A lot of yes men.
And I feel like he really does need to take kind of a mental break and just kind of unplug from everything, and
I mean,
let himself grow.
I've always loved his creativity until this album came out, and I realized that his creativity is no longer at this point there anymore right now. And I'm not saying that Logic doesn't have potentially great albums to come out. I'm sure he does. But when you look at 2018, he released Bobby Tarantino 2, which was a good album to me. And then he put out, let me see, Young Sinatra 4 last year. Last year as well. That's 2 back-to-back, bro, in 1 year.
Yeah.
You rarely see an artist, unless they put out a mixtape, you rarely see an artist put out 2 albums in 1 year. That's not a big thing.
Within like almost, I think it was like 8 months.
Maybe it's something 6 months crazy, like that,
bro. Which, you know, we have reviewed albums that have been kind of back to back, like Oxnard and Ventura. Kind of came out almost within 6 months.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
but,
that's true.
You know, I think the difference with that is that those albums were created almost at the same time. And, you know, it was when he was kind of still fueled with it. And, you know, he had, and I think there's just also something special about certain artists. They're able to do that. Not saying Logic doesn't have that, but I feel like maybe he's kind of just turned his gears too much and kind of just he's spent a lot of energy.
And there's another album that is supposed to be releasing whenever, I think next year, but he's been talking about it for a couple of years now. It's called Ultra 85, and that's been an album that people are looking forward to the most, that people were expecting to come out this year. But
I didn't even know about that.
That he releases this one, and so we're like, yo, like, what's going on? Why are you, you know? And that's why I'm like, Logic, bro, look, I think now we live in a culture where we just want music all the time. We just want it.
And it's that thing of like, you know, we're just so used to something like every second. Like, you know, like we
need it now. It's my money. I need it now.
Yeah, exactly. So we're like, you know, we're the microwave age. We just like things really quick.
But then you realize how bad it tastes afterwards, bro, because it just doesn't. It just with Logic, man, it's not the same, bro. Like, and I remember I told one of my friends, I'm like, look, I love Logic. He's an amazing rapper, but I'm telling you, if he continues to have the same flows, the same, that's cool and all. The whole rapping fast is cool, but that's kind of dead now, bro.
It's, to me, it just kind of starts all blending together now, and you know, rapping fast is cool.
Yeah, don't last
but
long.
If your lyrics and your I don't know, it's just something about the way that the way he's been doing it, to me, that's just become so tiresome almost. Like, it's almost hard to listen to it because I'm just like, I just feel like I'm being berated by words, and I just don't understand what he's saying anymore. And like, sometimes the lyrics don't even make sense. It's just kind of like, there's no substance to it.
No.
There's no depth to it. It's just kind of words.
There's nothing. That's why I'm like, look, you can rap fast. You can have these cool bars and flows, But when you continue to do it on every album, every album, every album, people are going to get tired of it.
Yeah.
They're going to get tired of it. And I'm starting to realize that, look, he has a huge fan base with Rat Pack, a huge fan base.
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of his as well. And I always get excited when he puts out music because I know his talent is really incredible. But then I worry sometimes. I'm like, look, we can't continue to listen to the same flows, the same lyrics, the same just whatever, because it's gonna get boring. And I think now Logic is getting to the point where I think he's honestly like, look, I don't know what else I can do at this point. And that comes with releasing so many albums and so much music on top of a book with that soundtrack album for with the book. Oh my god,
Supermarket.
That shit is horrible.
Oh, that was yeah, also a very
horrible.
flat album for me. I just felt like it was.
I listened to 2 songs and I was done.
He tried to, bring in some influences from like the indie rock and the alternative rock and the just different things, but I just feel like they felt kind of flat. They weren't very good. They're very generic when it comes to a lot of things.
Yeah.
And I just felt like it was kind of bland. Overall.
Yeah.
Now, Confessions of a Dangerous Mind, this album to me, I felt like maybe this was going to be different. It was going to be like a win for him because it's a more of a rap-centered album, which it is. And yeah, it was just difficult. I told Jordan, like, I was like, it is just hard to listen to it. Like, it was hard for me to get through it, hard for me to even, like, want to finish the song and not skip to the next one. Like, it just felt like a grown man who was complaining about social media people about like bullying him.
Yeah. So this album has 16 tracks. 16 tracks. And featured Eminem, YMB and Cordae, G-Eazy, Gucci Mane, Wiz Khalifa, his dad, and Will Smith. So when I realized what the features were, I'm like,
they're a little like there's. So, like, the whole, like, Will Smith thing, I was like, I don't know what this could be. I don't know if Will Smith's just coming in and, like, doing a little hook or something. Maybe something simple, something fun. But it felt like a song that was very generic and from the archives of, like, Will Smith's old, like, rap career in the 90s. Like, it was very just... think of any Will Smith song from the 90s, and that's that song.
In 2019.
Yeah.
Totally.
It did not age well. And the sound...
It wasn't needed either.
And it was weird, It didn't fit whatever direction the album was going, Like, I don't know exactly what he was trying to portray in this album other than complain about being bullied online.
And so too, and when he put out the album name Confessions of a Dangerous Mind, I kind of, and I look at the artwork and I see that, like his skull is kind of coming out of his body and he has a phone and, has the peace sign, and it's just like, okay, this album cover is really explaining what Logic is going through.
Yeah.
Now, but the album name, Confessions of a Dangerous Mind, in my opinion, he didn't really confess a lot. He confessed 2 or 3 things consistently over each song, and didn't really just confess anything. He just confessed that he is struggling with his anxiety, which he explained before in previous songs, in mental health, social media, all of that. But if you just sit down and look at this album cover, you're like, yo, this is what he's going through. This is what he's dealing with. It's just people talking about him. And he's wanting to compare himself to other artists, and it's just not a good look for him, man. It's showing his weakness and his weak side. And now he's going to be touring this album this year, and I'm man.
To me, it just like.
And I hate to hate on this album. I really do.
Me too. I really hate to be negative, and I'm not trying to be when I talk about this album, but it's just not. It's not a good album. To me, like, the songs, the production on them, they felt just boring, and they felt like they were just kind of like generic, like they just kind of got them off of like a beat website or something, like didn't do much to them. Like they just kind of felt that way, like kind of like they did not try. Like it was like and that's kind of how that album almost kind of flows. It's like they did not try.
No.
Like it was just like they phoned it in. Like all the verses are like, didn't really listen to the track. We're just gonna write some lyrics, and here's my verse. I mean, just coming like, just the weird, like the Wiz Khalifa feature, like random feature, and also like, if you know the style that Wiz Khalifa has, which is like more laid back, it's a little slower. He's not, machine gun rapping on songs.
No.
And you put him on a track where you're out here like just blah, 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 and then Wiz Khalifa comes in and he's just laid back, chill, and it's just like doesn't flow. It sounds weird. I feel like, if you had like a really, chill song, maybe you could have had Wiz Khalifa on it. Maybe you could have had G-Eazy on it.
It wasn't even a chill song. It was just like upbeat, and it just didn't feel.
It didn't
feel right, bro.
Yeah.
It didn't fit either. Yeah.
And I don't know. Like I felt like even the Eminem song with it had what's his name, that comedian, Chris D'Elia, at the very end, like. It was supposed to be funny, but like at the song itself almost seems kind of self-deprecating at times. Where
you don't like Homicide? You don't like it?
I like even that song,
nice,
like whenever even Logic says himself, he's just kind of rapping real fast, and then he becomes unintelligible. You can't understand what he's saying, and he even says, "I don't care if I sound dumb," something like that. And it's like, well, clearly,
clearly, well, no. Man,
it's just, to me, every song was just like, blah, 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 blah. Okay, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I need a break from listening to this. I feel like I am gonna have like an anxiety attack by how this is just like vroom.
And for me, like the first song, it started off good for me. I'm like, okay, it's a slow boom bap type beat. And he's kind of just explaining what's been going on. I feel like he confessed more in the first song than he did in the whole album, to be honest. And of course, it's titled "Confessions of a Dangerous Mind," so it makes sense. But it started off like, okay, cool. Like, I like the groove to it. He's really explaining what he's been going through. Of course, we go to Homicide. I've already listened to that plenty of times. We go to Wannabe and Clickbait. I'm like, what is this mess right here? And at this point, it just goes down here every time.
Yeah.
Every time.
Like, to me, like, the first song, it was okay. Like, I was like, well, kind of, you knew what to expect, from coming from Logic. Homicide, I was like, I had already heard it. So I was like, all right, I'm going to skip this track. And then Wannabe, and I was like, that song was just hard for me to even get through. And then Clickbait came in. I just want to sit there and talk about Clickbait for a little bit.
Oh, go ahead.
So he sits here and he's like talking about why he hates Charlemagne the God and how he hates all these other people and they're been hating on him and blah, blah, blah. And this man refers to everything phallus for too many times. Yeah. And it kind of gets a little like, you got something to tell us, bro? You got something to tell us? No need to mention something like that so many times unless you're out here just.
He does do that a lot too.
So I don't like the substance of the lyrics. Just it came off like
really, yeah.
It kind of like almost like that kid who wears the full on gear to a basketball game but sucks. Like, he comes up and, he's talking trash. He's been talking mad trash, shows up with the gear. Everything's, and then he gets someone, like, gives him the ball and the homie can't even dribble down the court. Like, that's how it felt. Like, this album felt like he just was fumbling the ball.
This album sounded like a very uninspired album. I just feel like he. And Eric was talking about this earlier, but it's like, yo, how could he present this album to the label execs and producers and friends and like whoever and be like, yo, bro, this album is fire, bro. This is one of your best art. Don't lie to a homie like that, bro.
I think that's also like something that might be going on. I don't know. Like, maybe he might have a lot of yes men around him that are just like, yes, Logic, you're the best, you're the greatest, you got it out here, you're gonna making it. And it's like, man, no,
Yeah.
no, please stop.
Yeah.
Please just take a break. Allow things to breathe a little bit.
He needs a 2 years off, bro.
Something like that.
He needs 2
just to
years.
develop.
Yeah.
Just to develop as an artist and
2
maybe
years.
kind of fine tune some things and find a sound that is more original to him, because
Absolutely.
it feels like he's biting off of other artists and just trying to make a more generic version of that.
Yeah.
Like on Homicide, to me, it came off like a generic version of Eminem.
True.
On like the song on the song let's see, Icy. That song is god awful. That song
my goodness.
probably might be on. Okay, so at the end of the year, I'm just deciding this now, live on this taping. We're gonna do a podcast where we talk about our least favorite tracks, our least favorite albums.
That's top 2
That's
for
gonna
me.
be probably my number 1 on least favorite tracks. Maybe
Man, this makes me sad.
I'm already putting it on number 1. Maybe there's gonna be a song that comes out that's worse, but that hook
I'm sad.
is awful.
I'm so sad.
It's one of the worst things I've ever heard. It was Gucci Mane's verse was so bland and so boring. It felt like he was like he got the text of, hey, Logic wants you on his album. He's got this track. He's like, who? And then he was like, how much they paying? All right, cool. Send him that one verse I recorded like 6 years ago that's in the vault that I didn't really try to put out there.
Bro, you throwing so many shots, bro.
I'm just saying.
I can't handle it.
I'm just saying, bro. Okay, it just like the song "Icy" felt like something you'd find on SoundCloud as a joke song.
Yeah, I agree.
There's just like,
I'm so sad.
and
bro.
like Keanu Reeves, like he didn't really kind of make me feel like I was watching a Keanu Reeves movie or anything. Like it wasn't like in any way like action packed. Like it just felt boring. And I just, this whole album, man, it was hard to listen to. I hate to be so negative about it because I genuinely want Logic to win, you know?
You sound like, you know what's funny? You sound exactly like me when I talked about Schoolboy Q's album. That's the roles are switched. But no, I agree in regards to the album
But at
being
least
horrible.
Crash Talk was like,
Yeah, no,
okay.
it was, yeah.
You know?
But
This album, though.
this is what I want to say, though. I want to say, though, man, that Logic, he really... Logic is gonna continue to put out great music. I really do believe that.
I think once he takes a break.
I think he needs a break. I think he needs to just relax, man, enjoy life, and just kind of regain that creativity. Because, look, I don't know if he's getting pressure from the label execs. I don't know, and that could be a part of it too.
That could, honestly.
Which is weird because he's putting out albums almost twice a year. So really, he's putting out more music than he should. But I'm just like, Logic, bro. This is not the Logic that I know of, man. Like the Undeniable, the Young Sinatra, like just the mixtape that he's put out. Of course, artists, they always evolve over time. It makes a lot of sense. But he's just forcing himself on so much stuff that it just doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
And I realized with this album that it's just I felt uninspired because normally he's always just talking about real life stuff. Do what you love. He's a huge fan of Gary Vee.
Yeah, and I admire his work ethic and you know him just kind of grinding this out and you know doing it. But I also am a strong believer in like you can come to burnout and you should rest and you should also take the time to let things breathe and you know develop and kind of maybe look at the broad picture of like, you know, what am I doing here? Maybe kind of look at it from a different angle. Kind of take your eyes away from your idols a little bit and just kind of look at yourself, because that's what I feel like was happening on this album. He wants to be a J. Cole. He wants to be a Kendrick. He wants to be a Nas. Like he wants to be Wu-Tang. Like he wants to be that so bad that I feel like it's bleeding through the music to the point where it just sounds like he wants to be that, but it comes off generic and boring and just uninspired, like you were saying.
Uninspired, man. And like I said, like I've always just had well, besides Supermarket. But I've always just had an album where he just really inspired me to really just pursue what I love and what I want to do. And that's what he's always been about, man. Literally, just not having nothing and continue to grind and continue to put out music for us to enjoy. And but he loves doing what he's doing, and I think for me, he helped inspire me in regards to that. But then, I was excited, bro. I was like, look, Eric,
and I know you were excited about this album.
I really was. And when it came out Thursday, I was like, I'm gonna wait till Friday to listen to it, Friday morning. And I was playing it through the speakers at the house, and I was just like, and honestly, and unfortunately, like I will never listen to this album, to be honest. Like, it's gonna be deleted off my phone. Like, I'm not even playing. Like, this album is so bad that I'm sad about it, because this is not the Logic that I know. Yeah. This is not the Logic that I have listened to for years and years and seen him in concerts, and this is not the Logic that I know. And so it makes me more sad than just mad. But I want to keep it real, because that's what we do on the Choppin It Up podcast. But I really am worried about him, though. I'm not trying to be dramatic or nothing, but I truly am worried about Logic, because, like I said, with him going through a lot, him explaining what he's been going through, I really just feel like he's going through some stuff. And I think we should just be very cautious of that, because you never know what these artists are going through behind the scenes, with him not being on social media. Of course, he's having his team promote his stuff, but long story short, man, I'm just Logic, bro, just take a rest, man, and relax, bro, and just continue to just feed your creativity with just good stuff, man, but just don't release any music for a long time. Like, I hate to say that, because I love music. I want something new all the time. But with Logic, bro, like, I don't want him to put out an album this bad ever again. Like, he can't handle it. I promise you, he can't. I mean, it's that bad, bro. But yeah, like, Logic, look, bro, like, I don't want you to release any music, and that's hard for me to even say, because I love music. I'm always trying to find something new. But again, I hope he learns from this. I hope he realizes, like, look, I love my fans, and also too, like, you're gonna have haters regardless, bro. Like, every human being has haters, and I think it's important that we just don't feed the haters with so much, what is the word? Like, just give them so much attention, because it's just gonna make it worse. And I feel like, to be honest, bro, and I hate to say this, but I feel like the haters won. I feel like they beat him out on this album, bro, because he showed his weakness, man.
I think, I agree with that sentiment of, like, he kind of let him get to him, and it permeates the entire album, where he just tries to act like he's this big and bad dude, and
talking about his money, and
talking about he's balling out and how he's the best, and I'm just like, dude, stop, please. You was not icy.
And that's the thing, though. See, he's changing, bro, in a bad way, because he's trying
He used to not be like that, though.
He used to always just talk about what he's going through. Of course, he's making good money now, but it's not like he was always just bragging about himself. He
had, like, the two sides. Like, whenever he did Bobby Tarantino, it was more like more braggadocious, or more like rap centered kind of thing. And then he had the young Sinatra side of him.
He's not really a big bragger, though. That's what's really weird, that he's been doing this on this album, because he just always, I mean, of course he talks about himself, but he talks more about just loving others and positivity than him talking about just, oh, I have money, or
positive things.
Like, he's going in a different way that it's like he speaks it, but then doesn't actually act on it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's what's really, like, affecting other people as well, because he's not talking about what he's really been trying to tell people. Like, look, be positive, man. Like, don't worry about people that hate you. But then again, he's putting out an album explaining to people that, oh yeah, I just, these haters, man, they really getting to me. Like, I'm depressed. No wonder rappers do drugs. Like, he's explaining what he's going through, bro. Seriously, and it's sad. That's why I worry about him. So I think for him, man, Brooke, you rich, bro. Go out and just go on a vacay, dog. Go on vacation, relax, man. You put out so much music, bro. Like, imagine putting out 2 albums a year. You're gonna be burnt out, bro.
Yeah.
On top of a book too.
Yeah, I feel like he for sure just needs to let things kind of breathe and just ride it out right now. And he's gonna have to ride out this big, like, dookie of an album because people are so far. Okay, so far what I've seen is that if you are a diehard Logic fan, you think Logic is good no matter what. But I've seen critics talking about how this album is just not good.
Yeah.
And it's not because they're hating on Logic as a person. It's this album.
It's just not good.
This album is not good.
It's not. It's as simple just as that, bro. It's not good. So, again, man, I
sorry for being so negative this podcast, but
yeah.
If you've listened to this album, you probably have formed your own opinion on it and have come to the conclusion.
And if you haven't listened to this album, please listen to it. And I'm not even saying just because like because of the podcast, say like listen to it and you'll realize that we're not being negative just to be negative.
You be the own judge of
if you
of
like
this album.
Then you got some issues. But still, I'm just kidding. I don't want to put that out there. But no, for real, like let's just keep it real, bro. This album was not good.
It was boring. It was bland. It was uninspired. It was
so sad, bro.
Just phoned in.
I'm more so sad than just mad. Like I'm more sad because I know, like I said, Logic is way better than this. And so okay, let's rate the albums. Eric, you go first. 1 out of 10.
Not good.
1 out of 10.
1 out of 10 for you? Okay, me is just a out of 10.
So 0? You gotta give 1 out of 10, bro.
I'll give it a 1 out of 10.
God.
Like to me, it's just it not good.
I'm hurt.
Like, I don't even want to rate it. I just want to say that it's bad. It's bad out of 10.
I'll give it a 2 out of 10. A soft 2, not a strong, but a soft 2 out of 10.
Like barely, just kind of there.
Barely.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah, this is
tough. This was
a hard one to review, to be honest, because
I'm excited for next week.
And we'll get into what we're gonna be doing next week. But again, Logic, huge fan, bro. Let's just relax, man. Let's enjoy your life, bro. Like you always say, man, be positive, spread positivity. I'm all about it. And let's just not make music anytime soon, please.
Just kind of relax. Just relax.
Rich, bro.
But next week we are
on a higher note.
We're gonna end on a high note. Next week we're gonna be reviewing probably my favorite album of 2019 so far. Tyler the Creator's Igor album. It's so. You're gonna have to find out next week. Yeah, I'm not gonna say what it is.
Yeah, we're gonna keep it. I want you guys to just and listen to this podcast and let us know what you think.
Let us know what you think about Confessions of a Dangerous Mind. Sorry,
we're not trying to be negative,
English,
but just let us know what you think so that we can kind of get some feedback. Because we want to know. Like this podcast is about you guys as well, and we want to know what you think because I'm just curious. I've been seeing a lot of different reviews, mainly bad, but I want to see just what y'all think. And so we'll be back at it with the next episode next week, and we'll be reviewing Tyler the Creator's album. And we love you guys.
Next week.
Peace.
Catch you later.